You can implement this in your next conversation with your next insurance sale is what we hope. It will make a difference from day one, not only in your insurance sale, but in your character, in the relationships of everybody around you, because it shows that care, it shows that empathy, and it also shows that you're willing to listen. If we can get away from trying to tell the client everything and have them just blown away and get them to sign a policy and we're confused when we're not, it's another thing to ask questions, but when you can ask these questions.
Telling is not selling. The person who becomes the best question asker is the person who sells the most.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. Today, we have Roger Short in the house with me. Welcome, Roger.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's going great. This is going to be a fun episode today. This topic is going to be very unique, and you're going to want to stay tuned, but we're going to make it efficient for you guys. We're going to make it impactful for you guys, and we're going to deliver it to you. This will probably be the one podcast that you listen to that can make a huge difference on you literally in your next conversation.
100%. I listen to podcasts. I don't know if you listen to podcasts. Do you listen to a lot of podcasts? So the podcasts that I like the most are the ones who give you actionable steps, like what you're going to get up front, and then they deliver on those very succinctly. So that's the format we're going to follow today. And we were talking about this topic, and we summarized it so quick. Once we landed on it, we said, that's it. This is the secret. This will unlock everything for you. Yeah,
and if you think back to the podcasts you listen to, some of the podcasts I listen to, a lot of them about business, a lot of them about leadership, a lot about all of the concepts and the answers that we all strive to look for, it always seems to be the simplest thing that we step over because we're digging through looking for the most complicated answer that we just haven't discovered yet. Yeah. And it really is, when you look at all the experience that you've had, not just in life insurance, but in the business world, and you talk about these three things that we're going to give them today, it really can be that simple. You want to tell them what the topic is?
I mean, ultimately, this is about communication, right? Yep. When you talk about success in life and business, we're all put on the planet and we are communicators with each other, right? Yep. We have to learn to communicate. We don't exist in a vacuum on our own. The world revolves around constant communication, whether it's social media, the news, people talking to each other, text messaging, email, whatever it is, it's about communication. So one thought, one person to another happens through communication. That can be done through body language, but verbal communication skill is probably the thing that's needed the most in life insurance sales.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're human.
So this is a communications podcast. We're gonna teach you some fundamentals about communications today, and really just about asking questions. So today's topic is 3 questions to make you $1 million in life insurance sales. Yeah,
and just to be clear, Roger, we're not saying if you just ask these 3 questions, Adam's going to write a check and send it to you, right?
He could. He could. Would you do that?
Please? Right.
Can I borrow your checkbook?
But the real reason is this is very realistic that if you implement these in all areas of your life, especially in your sales career, that you will be able to literally repeat the concept steps and the intentionality and the listening that it takes over and over again on your pursuit and on your way, and you will become a millionaire if you just do it enough. And these, throughout my sales career, throughout your sales career, I know we've collaborated a little bit. We would both agree that these are probably the most important questions. And while everybody's on the edge of their seat and revving their engines as they're driving through the field, Roger, what is the first question? What is the first go-to question that can really help our agents?
I think the first go-to question that can unlock your entire sales career is a follow-up question to the interesting, trivial, basic questions. And that follow-up question is, could you tell me more about that? Now, you can rephrase that in a bunch of different ways. You could say, in a more authoritative way, tell me more about that. you could say, can you tell me more about that? And what that does is it gets the client expounding on the one nugget that they just shared with you. And it's usually something of importance to them.
Yep.
Most of us in our communication is waiting for the person to stop talking so we can interject and get our idea, right? If you ever watch politicians debate, they're not even listening to the other people's answers. They're just waiting for them to stop so they can, and you can see it, like they're getting ready to talk the entire time, and you know they're not even listening.
They're waiting for an opportunity to interject.
Yeah, they're waiting for an opportunity to interject. So could you tell me more about that? Allows for you to really listen to the client about what they're going to say. Because generally they'll give you like a tidbit of it, like a little snapshot of it. Yeah. But that unlocks everything. Could you tell me more about that? How's that impacted you?
This is the progression of that relationship we're building. Mm-hmm. We're in a human-to-human business. And again, this goes into anything that you do in life. It could be meeting somebody. It could be, just any interaction you have. The number one thing is that it does is when you ask that question, can you tell me more about that? It shows I'm interested in what you have to say. I'm interested about you. I want to learn more. I'm eager. And everybody wants to feel special. Everybody wants to feel that somebody cares and has an ear for them. And a lot of people have heard I don't really know where it came from. Adam, you might be able to figure it out. But the saying is, nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. And it's that same exact concept. So it's more than just asking the question. It's letting them feel comfortable to expound on it, to go deeper because we are interested, we genuinely care. Mm-hmm. The reverse side of that, Roger, is if we ask a question, and I say this all the time, the most important question is the follow-up question to the question you already asked. Mm-hmm. But if you ask a question and they answer or give you some sort of response, and then you ask something completely different, it's almost disrespectful because it shows you're not listening, you don't care, you have an agenda, you're moving through, there's an alternative motive other than just getting to know that person.
Being in the moment with them at that thought. Well, I mean, it goes back to one of our principal questions that we have even as human beings, our identity. It's an identity question. Mm-hmm. Who am I? And so we all ask ourselves that question, who am I? We wrestle with that from the time we're kids. But even as adults, you want to be known. You want to be heard.
Yep.
People want to be known. They want to be heard. So if they want to be known and heard, let them be known and let them be heard by asking that extending conversation that says, tell me more about that.
Yep.
Tell me more about that. Now takes what was just a simple, concise answer.
Yep.
And it gives them the freedom to expound on it and dive in. And you will hear passion rise about things they're excited about.
Yeah.
And they'll skip over things that they're not excited about. And so you'll find out really who they are in a few minutes because they'll tell you.
Oh,
but
they will.
You just got to say, tell me more about that.
I would say something that's equally important to asking that question is the power of the pause following that question. And what we're talking about is when you say, could you tell me more about that? And if you wait, they will expand on that. They will open up. They will tell you more. But there will be a natural pause after they've got out a few more sentences or went a little bit deeper. Some agents' natural reaction is to pick it up and start talking again, right? Mm-hmm. Telling is selling, and they're ready to go to move to the next thing. But when you think they're done, if you just simply wait another 8 to 10 seconds, it'll feel like a minute or two. Mm-hmm. But if you wait an extra 8 to 10 seconds, just watch what happens. They'll all of a sudden just expand a little bit more, or their story will keep going because you're just intently listening to them and inviting them to tell you more without saying, is there anything more you want to add? You just give them that 8 to 10 second pause and it will just continue to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. When they say something that's interesting to you, or you feel like they're starting to maybe uncover some things, or at least expound on something that is worth exploring, when you're on the phone, if you're in a non-face-to-face environment, I know a lot of agents that watch our podcast, that listen to us, they're over the phone. It's that sound that goes before the question. And it sounds something like this. Tell me more about that.
And that's not you eating a big brownie, right?
No.
That you're listening, you're engaged.
And you're thinking about what they just said. And now you're giving them the freedom to expound on it. Tell me more about that. Please tell me more about that. Could you tell me more about that? It allows them to then dive in. People want to be known, and when you invite them to be known and give them the freedom to be known with you, it's interesting. I was watching, Zach, this video the other day on public speaking and commanding a presence in a room. And the guy that was speaking, he was talking about how most human interactions are, hi, my name's Roger. How are you? What do you do? What do you do? And people just say what they do, you know? And he said, now let's rephrase that. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm late for the meeting. I missed the session. It's so great to see you here. Tell me about this morning's session. And the other person just opens up. What did you like most about that? Mm-hmm. Is there something that I missed that you'd want me to know that as a strong takeaway from that? That's so great that you're sharing that with me. Thank you so much. He said at the end of that interaction, it was an entirely different engagement, entirely different conversation. I didn't even tell them what I do. It wasn't about what I do. I was asking them about them. And he said, all I was doing was just asking one question after another and then getting to expand on it. And they told me about all the highlights. And when we were done, I can guarantee you that person goes away thinking, I really like that person.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any talking. All I did was ask.
Yeah.
And I gave them an opportunity to be known. And he said, that's the difference between someone who can command presence in a room and get people to like you with intentionality versus someone that just goes in and awkwardly talks about themselves.
That's very, very
Who
good.
are you in the sales process? Be that person who asks great questions and says, tell me more about that.
Perfect.
Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-license training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
Now let's move to the second question, and these do have somewhat of an intentional order. For one, we were talking about our strengths finders before this, and strategic's one of mine, and putting things in chronological order and figuring out where they fit. So looking at the initial sales process, if we're painting that picture on the phone or in the home with them, the first one, tell me a little bit more about that, or could you expand on that? Could you tell me about that? Is really developing a relationship moving forward. As we start to get in the sales process, we're starting into the meat of what we're talking about. We're starting to understand, their why and the stakes and their vulnerabilities. This is where we typically move, and this is probably the most impactful question I have ever asked in insurance that has helped me beyond measure is question number 2.
Question number 2. Why is that important to you? Why is that important to you? The conversation is flowing. Tell me more about that. The power of the pause. That's so interesting. Tell me more. And as they're discussing it, I can see that you're passionate about that. Why is that important to you?
Yeah. That takes conversation that could be logical or educational or just getting to know them, and then it starts to convert it to more emotional and personal on a deeper level, for them to share thoughts and feelings instead of examples and history and story and knowledge. They're starting to share what's inside their heart. And as we know that final expense or that portion of life insurance sales is very emotional. When we talk about being able to connect with them, being able to find that question opens that door to not just help us understand where they're coming from, but it helps us to feel what they're feeling. It helps us to gauge and measure the pain and vulnerability that they have and they feel, even if they can't necessarily put it into words.
Yeah, Aristotle, in one of my talks, I quote Aristotle. He wrote this paper called Rhetoric, and in it he talked about persuasion. A person who is in a conversation, who's becoming a master at persuasion and communication, communicates on 3 levels. Number 1, they speak to ethos or ethics. Ethics is the character of the speaker. Is he trustworthy? Is the presenter trustworthy? Is the person you're speaking to sound like they have credibility in what they're talking about? Number 2, pathos, how something makes someone feel. Mm-hmm. That's the internal motivator and driver of people. The last one was logos, which is the facts, the details, the nuts and bolts, the prices, the numbers, details that influence a decision. Well, what Zach is talking about here, why is that important to you, speaks to what Aristotle referred to centuries ago, which is pathos, which is that internal thing. How does something make someone feel?
Yep.
And when you ask why is that important to you, it speaks directly to that internal driver, because they will open up and get passionate about what they believe and what's important to them. And it's generally the thing that they need. It's someone that they want to protect. It's a family member that they love. And when they start speaking that out loud, they're hearing it with their own ear, and then it becomes something that they want. So the very thing that they speak out loud that is a need becomes something that they want, and you can unlock all of that by simply saying, why is that important to you?
Correct. And one thing I want to add here, Roger, is when you're in that situation, when you're in that presentation, when you're going through that sales process and you're asking this question, you're typically not going to fully have them, hey, if I just ask this question, they're just going to melt emotionally and everything's going to be good. This is the start of that emotion. One of my favorite things to do when I ask this question is I'm going to get a surface level emotional answer. So it is emotions. It is it's pointing out and it's directly telling me what they feel their biggest vulnerabilities are. What is their biggest problem that they're worried about, right? But I like to follow that up and ask the same exact question twice, but in a slightly different way. It would be something like this, Mr. Roger, why is that important to you? You give me a simple answer. I hear that from a lot of husbands and a lot of fathers, but why does that really matter to you? And it's still asking them why that's important. And instead of giving a general answer like, well, everybody needs life insurance, or I don't have any coverage, or, it personalizes it, because I don't want to know why insurance is important. I don't want to know what they're going to do with or without it. I want to know, why is it important to you?
It's almost asking that first question again. It's literally almost asking in a cycle. That first question is, tell me more about that. You ask the question, why is that important to you? They give you a surface level answer. It's almost by saying, a lot of dads and a lot of husbands have said the same thing.
Yep.
But why is that so important to you? It's almost like saying, please tell me more about that.
Yep.
It's extending that, tell me more about that, and pulling more out and giving them the freedom to share a little bit more to get the real answer.
Yep. And the tip on delivery for this question, and you can add to this as well, when you're doing this, it really helps to, if you're in face-to-face, is to lean in, to show with your body language, show with your voice that you care, especially when you do the second round. I hear that from a lot of folks, or I hear that from a lot of fathers and husbands. But tell me, why is that really important to you? Being intentional on not joking around, not laughing. You're probably moving in. If you're doing over the phone or in a telesale situation, you're kind of lowering that tone. You're maybe putting the phone a little closer to your mouth so it sounds very clear and precise. And at this point, you're really wanting them to think. The way to deliver this is to give them that moment. Don't let their emotions or their fear or maybe some of their past pain help them escape from answering this question. we have to almost, I don't want to say demand a response, but we want to elicit the trust that we have with them for them to respond, for them to be willing and wanting to respond to us in that emotional way. Don't just move on and say, okay, and start talking about policy benefits and moving on. This is where we hunker down and we let them feel, because the power of this question isn't that we want to know their answer. It's we want them to think about their answer.
Mm-hmm. I had my good friend Mike Hall, Mike with Trustworthy Financial out of Indianapolis. When we were talking, he said, here is when you need to move into LSD. LSD.
Easy, Raj.
Yeah, LSD. Well, for those of you who may not know what LSD is, you can Google it.
He's going Jimi Hendrix on us over here.
There we go. He said you move into LSD, which is low, slow, and deliberate.
Yep.
Low, slow, and deliberate. So when we get to the part of, tell me why that's important to you, tell me more about that. This second part, you're becoming more intentional. Zach said, if you're in a face-to-face, you're leaning in. They can see your body language. If you're over the phone, you need to lower your tone a little bit. You need to slow down a little bit and be more deliberate with your words. People can hear how you ask the question. Mm-hmm. And it puts emphasis on the importance of the question by moving to LSD on the why is it more important to you?
Absolutely. And as we progress through our natural sales presentation, we progress through the sales process, as we're going through our options, we're going through our solution. At this point, we're really making sure that we're taking care of their family, we're protecting their loved ones. But we're solving that problem with them more than anyway. We're filling that void they have. We're feeling that emotional vacancy that they don't know how to feel, and they don't know what exact solution would fill that. When we come alongside them and when we move them to a solution, and they start to feel and understand it, because it's not us telling them, hey, this is what you need. You said you had a headache, take this medication, you're all fine, right? It's helping them realize and them choose and them pick what is going to be the right plan. And that includes that trust. So once we're able to present the different options and the solutions for our client, we want to make sure that it aligns with everything we're looking to take care of for them, mostly make sure it protects their family. And then we will typically ask them this third question.
And that third question that I think can unlock $1 million sales career for you is, how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? Because now you're specifically landing on this pathos area of communication, persuasion, which is people with life insurance sales. It is an emotional purchase backed up by logic. It is an emotional need that you're meeting because it is a promise. It's a promise. They're not getting a new car. They don't get to smell the new car. They're not getting a new TV that they're going to mount on the wall and get out the remote and take the plastic off for the first time and take the shiny, the whatever the cellophane wrap is that's on the TV. And when you take it off, everything looks so nice. They're not going to hear that sound. It's not a new coat. It's not a new pair of boots. It's not a new iPhone. It's a promise, and they're just getting a promise. So when we ask, how does that make you feel? You're getting to the true emotion of it, because it's a person or someone that they're trying to protect. It's a person that they love and they care about that they're trying to protect. And there's a deep emotion that goes with that. And when you ask this last, most powerful unlocking question, how does that make you feel? Mm-hmm. And then you're patient in it, and you've lowered your tone. You're slower in your delivery, and you're deliberate about the question, and you let them sit in it and answer you, they will, and they will tell you how it makes them feel. And then that's the problem you're solving with your insurance products. That's the problem. Whatever they reveal here, that's the problem you're solving.
This question is directly related to increasing your placement and your persistency.
100%.
This question is the one, and we're not saying, hey, does that price look good for you, Mr. Rogers? No, it's not the one saying, hey, you said you wanted a plan fit in your budget, that fit in your budget. This goes back to that emotional need. This goes back to the whole reason of why they filled out any lead card in the first place, was that curiosity and that vulnerability that they didn't have words for. we're validating that we did our part, our job of taking care of the client by making sure that this fills that void. How would that make you feel, right? And when the powerful part of this, and the delivery tip of doing this, like Roger said, again, the little bit of LSD goes into that, but a little bit of intentionality. But what we're trying to gather from this is they are going to be feeling that, and they're going to be thinking about it in the moment. And the reason I said this is a direct relationship to the placement and the persistency is because they are checking on themselves. They're running all their internal tests, and their heart feels good about it. If their heart feels good about it, it takes away the buyer's remorse. It takes away the potential feeling of they got taken advantage of for some reason, or they weren't quite clear or sure what just happened. We're really taking our time and making sure that we're not only protecting their family financially, we're protecting them emotionally, and just moving through the entire situation. So that is something that really solidifies them in that moment.
Yeah. I just Googled pathos, and it comes back as this description. So what is the difference between pathos and ethos? Ethics. Ethos appeals to the writer's character or the communicator's character. Ethos can also be thought of as the role of a writer, a speaker, a presenter in their presentation, and how credible he or she in their presentation is. Pathos, on the other hand, appeals to the emotions and the sympathetic imagination, as well as to beliefs and values of what is important. Isn't that crazy? Aristotle, this Greek philosopher from centuries ago, was speaking about the exact same thing we're speaking about today, because humanity doesn't change.
He probably could have wrote a few policies.
He probably could have wrote a few policies. These are the three most important questions. That second one, why is that important to you? I've said that question alone has made me millions of dollars over my career. And the other two stem from that. How does that make you feel, Zach, that we just delivered to these guys the $1 million formula? How does that make you feel?
Man, it makes me feel good, because what we want is we want to help as many agents as we can. And if you guys, this is something literally, as we said at the beginning of this podcast, so if you stayed on, you're rewarded. But you can implement this in your next conversation with your spouse, with your husband, with a coworker, with your next insurance sales, what we hope. It will make a difference from day one, not only in your insurance sell, but in your character of who you are, in the relationships of everybody around you, because it shows that care, it shows that empathy, and it also shows that you're willing to listen. We've done, I don't know, how many podcasts now, Adam? 257, and I remember back, one of the first 50 is we talked about the power of silence, and we talked about being able to change your entire insurance career by simply talking less and selling more. I think that might even be the title of the podcast.
Talk less, sell more.
Yeah, talk less, sell more. And it's the same concept. If we can get away from trying to tell the client everything and have them just blown away and get them to sign a policy and we're confused when they're not, it's another thing to ask questions, but when you can ask these questions.
Telling is not selling. The person who becomes the best question asker is the person who sells the most. Adam, get over here. Go to the wide shot. Go to the shot of Zach and I. Come on in here. Stand right in here. We're going to bring Adam on screen, everybody. Adam Steffen, the man behind the cameras, the man behind the magic.
Magic man.
Right here. Adam, it's Adam's 3rd year anniversary with us. And he's been rocking it back there on the board, making the magic happen. Adam, how does it make you feel that we're delivering content to agents that change their life?
It's been nice. It's been fun. You know, I was in news before this, so I wasn't
speaking to the mic.
You know, what's nice is you're talking to the audio.
I just always wanted to do that. That's what you get to do.
I'm aware. Yeah. Indeed. Years of radio experience, broadcast, and these guys are trying to tell me how to use a microphone. It's hilarious.
10 minutes left.
10? Well, we've got about 5. But no, we are to the wrap. We are actually to the wrap.
Just messing with you.
But no, it has been nice the last few years. So thank you for the kind comments. Thank you for the DMs, all the things. It's been nice to generate content that make people feel better at the end of it. working in broadcast news, sometimes you don't necessarily get that every day. Sometimes you leave people with that kind of feeling. So it's been a positive change.
Yeah. Well, we've loved having you here, man. Happy 3-year anniversary to Adam.
Thank you,
Show him some love in the DMs. Hey, show him some love in the DMs.
And Roger, I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to give him the hand gestures. I didn't dream I would have the day to.
Hey.
Okay, now he's telling us to wrap.
Now he's telling us to wrap. There you go. Well, guys, hope those 3 questions landed for you today. We're not always going to talk to you about MEC limits and how to properly fund an IUL, but we are going to teach you how to become better communicators, better human beings, so you can help more people. And I hope these 3 questions today are the beginning of you unlocking the most wonderful, amazing, and most profitable career in this yet what I believe is the best kept secret in America, insurance and financial services.
Before you go, if you get any value from this or any of our content, please like, subscribe, and share. It does wonders. And if any of this has helped you in any way, in any situation, please let us know. Send us an email, get on the website, leave a comment. Those are awesome as well. We love interacting with you guys, and we appreciate everything you all do.
And we want to know how this episode made you feel. Tell us, and tell us more about that. We'll see you on the next episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast.